Infamous for its policies and laws, and surprisingly, North Korea is making headlines again in a controversial move.
In Camp 14, Shin did not know literature existed. He saw only one book in the camp, a Korean grammar.
Imagine being born into a world where freedom doesn't exist, and survival means enduring unimaginable pain every day.
Only to be shipped off to labor camp. I decided not to turn back. Each step took me further away from North Korea and closer to my dream of freedom.
That's life inside Camp 14, North Korea's most notorious prison camp. Prisoners, including children, are punished for crimes they didn't commit.
I personally even experienced watching public execution. I was only 11 around. Hundreds of crowd people gathered.
Forced into backbreaking labor and fed barely enough to survive. Escape is nearly impossible, and hope is non-existent. This hidden hell on earth is where human rights are erased, and cruelty knows no limits. Camp 14, Kaechon Prison Camp. Camp 14, also known as Kaechon Prison Camp, is one of North Korea's most feared and secretive labor camps. Located in a remote, heavily guarded area, it holds thousands of men, women, and even children for so-called political crimes. Many are born there, trapped for life by the government's rule of punishing entire families for one person's alleged wrongdoing. Inside its electrified fences, survival becomes a daily challenge filled with hunger, brutal labor, and constant fear. Prisoners must wake long before sunrise and line up for roll call, terrified that any missing person could lead to vicious punishments for the whole group. After a quick, overcrowded trip to the toilet, they begin a day of exhausting work in fields, factories, or mines. Guards watch every move, ready to punish them for the smallest mistake, whether it's failing to meet work quotas or forgetting to praise the country's leader. Food is scarce, with only thin cornmeal, soup, or cabbage on most days. Many inmates turn to insects, animals, or even leftover grains and manure just to stay alive. Conditions are so harsh that injuries and disease spread quickly, and there is little or no medical care. From sunrise to after dark, prisoners labor without rest. After their shift, they attend forced education sessions, where they must memorize government propaganda. Failure to recite the rules or slogans can lead to more punishment, such as reduced food, beatings, or solitary confinement. The story of Shin Dong-hyuk, born in Camp 14, helped the world learn about this hidden place. Shin grew up believing he was to blame for his own suffering because the guards told him his family had wronged the government. He survived years of hard labor, hunger, and cruelty. As a teenager, he watched his mother and brother be executed after he revealed their plan to escape. Later, he discovered the world outside the camp through an older prisoner who had experienced life beyond North Korea. Desperate for freedom, Shin took a risky chance to escape, using another prisoner's body to shield himself from the camp's electrified fence. Because of Shin's rare success and testimony, global attention fell on Camp 14. Yet North Korea denies its existence and keeps international observers away. Sadly, Camp 14 is only one of many such camps across the country. Lives are destroyed, and families are torn apart by a system that forces prisoners to labor until death. Generational punishment. Generational punishment lies at the heart of North Korea's Camp 14, also called Kaechon Prison Camp. In this system, the crimes of one person can lead to the imprisonment of their entire family, including children born into the camp. This shocking rule ensures that the punishment, fear, and forced labor pass from one generation to the next. In Camp 14, a child's first memories may be of strict guards, electrified fences, and hunger. They learn they are there because their parents or grandparents violated strict rules, criticized the government, or were labeled as political threats. By punishing descendants, the regime hopes to erase any hint of opposition and create a cycle of constant fear. These children rarely receive real education. Instead, they endure long days of digging, farming, or mining under brutal supervision. Even minor mistakes can bring severe beatings or solitary confinement. Worse yet, they are taught to blame their own families, believing they deserve punishment for crimes committed before they were born. Trust becomes nearly impossible. As a result, entire generations grow up behind barbed wire, never experiencing the outside world. They have no idea what freedom feels like, or even that it exists. Food is scarce, and many children resort to eating insects, rodents, or leftover scraps to stay alive. They soon learn that survival depends on pleasing guards and following every rule. Generational punishment also helps the regime maintain tight control. By threatening whole families, they ensure no one dares to speak up. Even a whispered complaint can lead to one's children and grandchildren spending their lives in these camps. This strategy crushes hope and loyalty among relatives, ensuring that fear remains a potent weapon for the government. Shin Dong-hyuk's testimony, as someone born in Camp 14, opened the world's eyes to these generational atrocities. He spoke of witnessing his own mother's execution, driven by the camp's twisted rules. His harrowing story is a stark reminder that children there grow up in a prison of guilt they never earned, while carrying burdens they never chose. In this cruel system, each generation inherits a sentence they cannot escape. The children of so-called traitors are labeled as criminals from birth. Their futures revolve around hard labor, harsh discipline, and unending fear. Families cannot protect each other, and neighbors are quick to inform on one another, hoping for small favors from the guards. Horrific living conditions. Horrific living conditions define daily life in North Korea's Camp 14, also known as Kaechon prison camp. Imagine waking up at 4:30 a.m. in a freezing, overcrowded barrack. Instead of a warm meal, you get a watery corn soup that barely keeps you alive. You then head off to a day full of relentless work in fields, mines, or factories, risking injury and punishment if you fail to meet impossible quotas. There is no time to rest, no sense of safety, and certainly no chance to speak out or resist. The prisoners at Camp 14, including children, endure ruthless demands with guards watching their every move. One minor mistake, an accidental break of machinery, or a quick pause to catch your breath, can lead to brutal beatings or solitary confinement. At night, guards might conduct sudden inspections, leaving prisoners anxious for any reason to be punished. There is no privacy. Conditions are so cramped that many people cannot even find space to sleep comfortably on the hard floor. Torn blankets and worn-out clothes are all they have against the biting cold. Food rations are shockingly small. Most inmates survive on cornmeal, salt, and cabbage soup, often watered down to stretch the supply. Hunger drives them to eat anything they can find: rats, insects, or unharvested plants, just to stay alive. Malnutrition is common, causing extreme weakness, constant illness, and, in the worst cases, death. Proper healthcare does not exist, and disease spreads fast because of filthy living areas and lack of basic hygiene. Children suffer just as much as adults. Instead of attending real schools, they spend their days performing chores or forced labor. They may have short lessons that mostly involve memorizing propaganda. Innocence is lost early as they witness public executions or severe punishments for minor offenses. Many grow up believing these horrors are normal, never knowing the outside world exists. Brutal, forced labor. Brutal forced labor is at the heart of North Korea's Camp 14, also known as Kaechon prison camp. Every day starts before dawn, with guards forcing all prisoners, including children, to roll call in the cold morning air. Then comes the back-breaking work in farms, mines, or factories that last from sunrise until late at night. The guards watch their every move, ready to beat anyone who falls behind or shows signs of weakness. There is no mercy for the old or the sick. Everyone must work, or they face horrible punishment. Inside the dark mines, prisoners risk cave-ins and injuries as they tunnel through dangerous rock. In the fields, they dig tirelessly under the scorching sun, sweat pouring down their faces. Meanwhile, factories demand tedious, repetitive tasks that leave inmates exhausted. Hunger gnaws at them constantly, since they survive on watered-down cornmeal or cabbage soup. With so little food, many become ill, but there is no proper health care to save them. Guards see sickness as laziness and may beat inmates suspected of faking their conditions. Even children must join in the labor. Instead of going to a normal school, they spend their days hauling logs, weeding fields, or cleaning animal pens. If they fail to keep up, they risk the same harsh treatment as adults. Some prefer livestock work so they can steal bits of grain from animal feed or search droppings for undigested food. Anything to try to fill their empty stomachs. The grueling routine continues late into the night. Once they finish their jobs, many prisoners must also attend compulsory education sessions. There, they memorize propaganda about North Korea's leaders. If they cannot recite it correctly, guards punish them with beatings or reduced rations. Others are forced to stay awake for hours, repeating slogans until they collapse from sheer exhaustion. If inmates do not meet their daily work quotas, they can be whipped or locked in a tiny cell alone. Some are even executed in public to scare the rest into obeying. In this brutal system, prisoners learn to fear everyone, including their own family members. Guards reward those who spy on others, so trust barely exists. Severe punishments. Severe punishments are a grim part of everyday life at North Korea's Camp 14, also known as Kaechon prison camp. In this harsh environment, any hint of disobedience or failure can result in brutal consequences, often decided on the spot by guards who enjoy near-total power over inmates' lives. These punishments aim to crush the human spirit, keeping prisoners in a constant state of fear and discouraging even the slightest act of defiance. One of the most frequent forms of punishment is physical beating. Guards use batons, sticks, or even fists and feet to assault anyone they accuse of slacking or disobeying. Prisoners can be whipped for not meeting their daily work quotas, which are intentionally set high. Sometimes these beatings occur in front of other inmates to send a message, leaving victims bruised, bleeding, or worse. Medical care is virtually non-existent, so inmates must depend on their own limited means to heal, often working through pain and injuries. Solitary confinement is another favorite tool of punishment at Camp 14. Offenders, whether actual or fabricated, are locked in tiny, dark cells with barely enough space to lie down or stand. Days or even weeks can pass without sunlight. Hunger becomes unbearable, as rations are cut to near starvation levels. The isolation itself begins to break the mind, making many prisoners frantic for human contact. When they emerge, they are often weaker physically and mentally, more likely to comply with guards' every whim. Group punishment adds to the atmosphere of terror. If one prisoner is missing or breaks a rule, the entire group may face beatings or reduced food for days. By punishing groups for the actions of one individual, guards push inmates to police each other. Friends and even family turn watchful, alert to any slight mistake that could bring tragedy upon them all. This creates an environment where trust is nearly impossible. Public executions serve as Camp 14's most extreme warning. Inmates, including children, are forced to watch as individuals accused of escape attempts or serious crimes are put to death. Watching neighbors or family members die in front of them cements the belief that there is no mercy or justice within the camp. The guards treat these events like public spectacles, reminding everyone that their lives are in the guards' hands. Daily routine life inside North Korea's Camp 14, also called Kaechon prison camp, follows a harsh daily routine that starts before sunrise and ends late into the night. Each morning, prisoners are forced to wake around 4:30 a.m. to stand at roll call, shivering in the cold. Guards carefully check if anyone is missing. If a single person fails to appear, the entire group may be punished by beatings, reduced food, or even solitary confinement. Terror is a daily companion, keeping everyone always on edge. After roll call, prisoners get a brief, frantic chance to use the toilet. With only one toilet for every 100 inmates and no proper hygiene supplies, it becomes a chaotic and unpleasant scramble. Soap and clean water are practically non-existent, making it impossible to maintain even basic sanitation. By 5 a.m., the guards send groups to different forced labor sites. Some head to the fields, where they harvest crops under scorching sun or freezing winds. Others go deep into the mines, risking cave-ins and lung disease. Still others are stuck in factories, working on tedious tasks like producing textiles or goods for sale. All day long, these inmates labor under the watchful eyes of armed guards. If someone lags behind or drops a tool by accident, the punishment can be severe: a beating on the spot, or extra hours of work with no rest until well past midnight. Food rations are meager at best: watery cornmeal, salt, and cabbage soup. Many prisoners remain on the brink of starvation, often resorting to picking insects, rodents, or wild plants to survive. This constant hunger gnaws at them, draining what little energy they have left. By evening, the routine continues with another forced roll call, during which guards again check for any sign of disobedience. Even then, the day is not over. Prisoners must often attend ideological education sessions, where they chant slogans and memorize propaganda about North Korea's leaders. Those who fail to recite everything perfectly risk punishment, typically in the form of beatings or solitary confinement. The guards use this strategy to control the minds of inmates, ensuring loyalty comes from a constant fear of torture. Only after these forced sessions can prisoners finally eat their second meal. They may try to repair tattered uniforms or wash clothes in fading daylight. Exhausted and weak, they collapse onto hard floors in overcrowded barracks, hoping for a few hours of sleep. Yet even then, guards might burst in for a surprise inspection, making rest fragile and incomplete. In Camp 14, there is no relief, no pause in the cycle of fear and exhaustion. Shin Dong-hyuk's escape. Shin Dong-hyuk's escape from North Korea's Camp 14, also called Kaechon Prison Camp, is one of the most famous and shocking stories to emerge from that hidden world. Born behind electrified fences, Shin spent his entire childhood believing life in the camp was normal, and that he deserved this punishment because, as the guards told him, his parents had betrayed the country. Instead of seeing his mother and father as family, he saw them as rivals for their small daily rations. From an early age, Shin faced constant hunger, brutal forced labor, and strict propaganda lessons. He often ate whatever he could find, rats or insects, just to stay alive. Worst of all was the fear. The guards taught him that reporting any rule breakers was the only way to survive. One tragic night, Shin overheard his mother and brother planning to escape. Hoping for praise or extra food, he told a guard about their plan. Instead of receiving a reward, Shin was thrown into solitary confinement and tortured, since officials wanted more details. He was later dragged out to witness the public execution of his mother and brother. The guilt of that moment would haunt him for the rest of his life. Struggling to cope, Shin returned to forced labor in the camp's factories. That was when he met Park, a political prisoner who had lived outside North Korea. Through Park's stories, Shin learned of a world beyond the barbed wire, a place with abundant food and personal freedom. Hungry for more than just better meals, Shin began to dream of escaping. Together, they hatched a plan. One day, they were assigned to collect firewood near the electric fence. They watched the guards' schedule carefully, waiting for the perfect moment. Park tried to crawl through first, but he was hit by the high-voltage wire and died instantly. Determined to reach freedom, Shin used Park's body to ground the fence, burning his own legs as he squeezed beneath the wire. Badly injured and shaken, Shin knew he couldn't stop. Step by painful step, he journeyed toward North Korea's northern border, stealing food wherever he could find it. Eventually, Shin crossed into China. From there, with help from various contacts, he made his way to South Korea and then the United States. His scars, both physical and emotional, remain as proof of his ordeal. By sharing his story with the world, he exposed the horror of North Korea's labor camps and what it means to be born without even the most basic human rights. Shin's escape is not only a tale of physical endurance, but also of the power of hope in a place where hope is meant to be crushed. Through his story, the world caught a rare glimpse into the brutal reality behind North Korea's barbed wires and electrified fences. Other prison camps. North Korea's network of prison camps extends far beyond Camp 14, revealing a chilling picture of widespread cruelty. One such camp is Camp 15, also called Yodok, where political dissidents and their families endure relentless hard labor. Unlike Camp 14's strict total control zone, Yodok has two sections, a revolutionary zone for less serious offenses, and a total control zone for people deemed too dangerous or unredeemable. In both areas, prisoners perform exhausting tasks in fields, mines, or factories, just like those in Camp 14. They also live in cramped conditions with little food or medical care, often falling victim to diseases that go untreated. While children in Camp 15 might receive some education, it mostly consists of state propaganda. If they cannot memorize it, they face punishments like sleep deprivation or reduced rations. Camp 25, also known as Chongjin Concentration Camp, adds another dark layer to this system. Surrounded by high walls, fences, and armed guards, it is a lifetime prison for those judged to be political threats. Unlike Yodok, where a few inmates might be released after completing sentences, Camp 25 offers no such possibility. People in this camp face a slow, grueling existence of forced labor in prison factories, producing items such as bicycles. With security so tight, escape is nearly impossible, and the outside world has little reliable information about the true depth of suffering inside Camp 25. However, accounts from defectors who survived other camps give a frightening glimpse of the extreme abuse, malnutrition, and psychological torture taking place there. In many of North Korea's prison camps, entire families are locked away due to generational punishment. Parents, children, and in some cases, grandparents may all be confined simply because a relative was suspected of disloyalty. This prevents any thought of resistance, as inmates fear speaking out could harm their loved ones. Children grow up knowing only hunger, backbreaking labor, and constant fear. Guards enforce strict rules with brutal methods, such as beatings, solitary confinement, or worse. Even minor mistakes, like dropping a tool or failing to meet a production quota, can result in savage punishments. Arbitrary imprisonment. Arbitrary imprisonment is a chilling hallmark of North Korea's oppressive regime. especially inside Camp 14, also referred to as Kaechon prison camp. In this system, anyone can be thrown behind electrified fences for the most trivial reasons, or even no reason at all. Being labeled a political criminal can mean criticizing a government policy, speaking out about harsh conditions, or receiving a phone call from outside the country. Even worse, entire families can be taken away in the dead of night, bound for a labor camp from which there is almost no return. One of the most shocking aspects of arbitrary imprisonment is the lack of clear charges. A person might be accused of having poor loyalty to the regime or failing to hang a portrait of the leader in their home. Sometimes, the crime might be as small as using foreign media, a hidden DVD from South Korea, a radio program from abroad, or an attempt to learn about the outside world. In North Korea, these tiny acts can be twisted into anti-government activities, carrying the same punishment as major offenses. Furthermore, the children and grandchildren of anyone deemed disloyal may be imprisoned merely for their family ties. This policy of punishing generations ensures that the entire bloodline pays for the alleged crime. As a result, young children, even toddlers, grow up never knowing life beyond barbed wire. They inherit a sentence they did nothing to earn. Most never learn why they are there, only that speaking up or questioning the system could make matters even worse. For officials who fall out of favor with the leader or show any sign of independence, Camp 14 can become their final destination. Kim Jong-un wields absolute control, meaning no one dares to contradict him. A careless remark, a misstep at a meeting, or even dozing off during one of his speeches might lead to a swift and secret arrest. Families often have no idea why they are taken, nor any chance to prove their innocence. Survivors' accounts reveal that those who vanish into Camp 14 face a life of backbreaking labor, near starvation rations, and relentless fear. With no fair hearing and no official release date, inmates can spend decades breaking rocks, mining coal, or working long hours on dusty farms, only to be punished if they fail to meet impossible targets. This system of arbitrary imprisonment creates a constant sense of terror across North Korea. Anyone at any time might be dragged away for a comment or act deemed suspicious. Secrecy and denial. North Korea's Camp 14, also called Kaechon prison camp, is hidden behind a thick wall of secrecy and denial. For years, the outside world had almost no idea it even existed. Government officials in Pyongyang continue to insist there are no such camps, turning away any international inspectors who ask to see them. Inside North Korea, strict control over news and information makes it nearly impossible for residents to talk about these camps, let alone confirm their existence or conditions. The regime's refusal to admit the reality of places like Camp 14 serves a powerful purpose. By claiming these camps are nothing more than rumors, North Korean authorities shield themselves from global scrutiny. They maintain a controlled media environment, where only state-approved stories are allowed. When outside groups send requests to visit the camps, they are often ignored. Official representatives deny any wrongdoing, suggesting that accounts of forced labor and torture are simply lies spread by enemies. This secrecy creates a fog around the entire prison system, letting guards and officials operate without fear of exposure. Camp 14 spans a large area, complete with mines, fields, and factories, but it might as well be a black hole on the map. Satellite photos show guarded perimeters and high-voltage fences, but the government either says the images are of ordinary farms or claims they have no idea what foreigners are talking about. Those who do manage to escape, like Shin Dong-hyuk, risk everything to reveal the shocking truth. Yet even then, officials rely on denial, calling these defectors traitors who make up stories to harm North Korea's image. For families across the country, the fear of being arrested and sent to a non-existent camp is all too real. One careless remark or a simple act like watching foreign movies can lead to a nighttime arrest. Relatives, including children, vanish in the dark, taken to a place that, according to the state, does not exist. This constant fear also keeps North Koreans quiet about what they know. If they speak out, they face terrible consequences, including the possibility that entire generations of their family will be imprisoned. Despite strict controls, a few brave defectors have revealed glimpses of Camp 14. They describe an environment of forced labor, extreme hunger, and public executions, underscored by a relentless effort to hide these horrors from the outside world. Even so, North Korea flatly denies all allegations. Meanwhile, organizations like the United Nations try to gather evidence of human rights abuses, but their efforts are blocked at every turn.